Pope Francis speaks out on climate change. This is Skywatch TV News for June 18th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. As expected, the Pope released his encyclical on climate change today, a 180-page document in the form of a letter addressed to every person on Earth. In it, the Pope claims that climate change is real, blames apathy, reckless pursuit of profits, excessive faith in technology, and political short-sightedness for the rising global temperatures. Conservatives who've analyzed the document were at least encouraged to see the Pope's condemnation of abortion included in the encyclical and his rejection of population control as a means to solve the problem. The Pope also condemned carbon credits, which is a key element of the European Union's approach to solving the climate change problem. He says it's a ploy that permits ongoing excessive consumption of energy. The encyclical carries significant religious weight and authority, although it's not considered an official doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, other religious leaders are weighing in on the issue following the release of the encyclical. The Greek Orthodox Church, Patriarch Bartholomew, said the earth unites us all above and beyond any doctrinal differences and religious disagreements that may separate us. The Church of England, the Archbishop of Canterbury, signed a declaration warning of the huge challenge posed by climate change and promised to pray for the success of the Sustainable Development Summit the United Nations is convening this fall. In Israel, 333 rabbis signed a rabbinic letter on climate change calling for shaping a world of sustainable abundance. Tibetan Buddhists, the Dalai Lama, said we should strive for oneness of humanity because climate affects us all. And here in North America, the Islamic Society of North America said that this Ramadan, people of all faiths can come together for this cause. Now, not surprisingly, environmental groups are praising the Pope for the encyclical. The World Wildlife Fund, Natural Resource Defense Council, Greenpeace, and others are hailing the moral authority behind the Pope's call to protect the environment for future generations. And even bankers are on board. President of the World Bank, Jim Yong Kim, says the Pope's message is a stark reminder of the link between climate change and poverty, because the increasing number of severe weather events necessarily are more devastating for the poor. Now, unspoken in all of this is the assumption, the argument, that many Christians are responsible for climate change and the warming of the planet. At the core of the Green Movement is a straw man argument that Christians, because we believe that we've been given dominion over the earth, and especially Christians who believe in end times prophecy, who expect to be raptured out of here in the fairly near future, don't have any responsibility or need to be concerned about the state of the environment. Especially, again, Christians believing in prophecy. If we think that Christ is going to return and take us out of here before things get too bad, then why bother? Now, this, of course, is a straw man argument. The truth is that there's nothing in Scripture that encourages wasteful consumption or destruction of the environment. And on the contrary, if nothing else, our love for God, respect for His creation, and our love for our children and grandchildren should be enough for Christians, thinking Christians, to want to care for the environment and be good stewards of God's creation. And while there are many in the Green Movement who are genuinely motivated by a sincere concern for the impact of humanity on the planet, there is at the core of the movement a belief, a worldview that is definitely anti-Christian. Now, I don't object to a call for global government to regulate our energy use because I'm anti-science, but because I'm anti-scientism. What is scientism? Scientism is a belief that the scientific method is the best way to analyze and formulate social and political policy, a belief that science is the only absolute source of truth, and as such it is atheistic, of course. Scientism claims to be predictive, the ability to foretell the future, and of course to base policy on this predictive ability. Adherents to scientism are religious in their fervor, their conviction that science is the only arbiter of truth, more so than many Christians are about their Christian faith, in spite of the Bible's track record of accurate prophetic prediction. Scientism rejects opposing inquiry. If you don't believe that statement, just start questioning climate change or the efficacy of vaccines. You're labeled a science denier, climate denier, or an anti-vaxxer. And scientism demands acceptance, the exclusion of other points of view. The science is in. The consensus is in. And again, if you question it, you are a science denier. Scientism is the underlying worldview behind technocracy, and the global green movement is a product of the technocratic movement. It seeks totalitarian control over the way we live. It's neither socialist, fascist, nor communist, because those worldviews are based on a price-based economic system. Technocracy seeks to replace price-based economics with an energy-based system. It would replace money, whether a real currency such as gold or fiat-based currency like the paper money we use in the United States, with carbon currency. In other words, you'd be given an allotment of energy to use every month, and when the month expired, let's just say it's not like your cell phone plan where you get rollover minutes. And if you run out before the end of the month, then tough luck. Now, to figure out who would get how much energy to use, the technocrats need lots and lots of data. What do we use our energy for? How are we spending that energy? Have you ever wondered why insurance companies are so eager to give you a discount on your car insurance these days if you'll allow them to plug in a device that tracks exactly how you drive? Not just how far you drive, but how you drive. Where, how fast, how often. Why there's such a drive to replace our current energy meters with smart meters and a smart grid system. Data is the fuel that feeds the fire of technocracy. I could do a couple hours on this topic, but I will refer you to a couple of books that go into much more detail than I can and are written by guys who are a lot smarter than me. Technocracy by Patrick Wood and Nazi Oaks by Mark Musser, which is a fascinating look at how the modern green movement has ties that go all the way back to the ancient fertility rites of Baal worship. In other news, this is actually breaking as we record this on June the 18th. The suspect in a deadly shooting at a church in Charleston, South Carolina, has been arrested. 21-year-old Dylan Roth of Lexington, South Carolina, was taken into custody this morning in Shelby, North Carolina. That's about 245 miles away from Charleston. He allegedly killed 9 people at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston last night. 6 women and 3 men are dead, including the church's pastor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney. Survivors said Roth came into the prayer meeting last night, sat with them for nearly an hour before standing up and opening fire with a .45 caliber weapon. There were 13 people in the church at the time. The shooter, 9 people, his victims, and 3 survivors. And last night in Memphis, a shot was fired at a church there, St. Matthew Missionary Baptist Church. No one was hurt. It's not clear if the shot was fired before or after the deadly shootings in Charleston. A story that I researched some time ago is back in the news again and getting some attention in the mainstream media, and that is the practice of child sacrifice in Africa. In Uganda, it's reported that hundreds of children go missing every year, mutilated and killed by witch doctors on behalf of wealthy clients. It's believed there that body parts of children, specifically genitals, can help one attain power and wealth. It's feared that the number of children abducted, mutilated, and killed in Uganda will increase as they have an election coming up in 2016. But this occurs many places in Africa, not just Uganda. In Tanzania, for example, people with albinism, albinos, people with no pigmentation in their skin, are thought to be ghosts or damaged demons, and they're hunted by shamans who use their body parts for rituals and potions. The practice is called medicine murder. There was a notorious case of medicine murder about 15 years ago in England when the torso of a young boy believed to be age 5 or 6 washed up on the banks of the Thames River in London near the Globe Theatre. He was never positively identified. Police analyzed the contents of his stomach, found tiny clay pellets embedded with small particles of pure gold, which indicated that he was murdered as part of a muti magic ritual. Body parts of children in these types of rituals are considered sacred. There's clear evidence that the powers, principalities, rulers of spiritual darkness that the Apostle Paul wrote about still hold sway in parts of planet Earth. If you missed the live broadcast of Skywatch TV this week, Steve Quayle having a fascinating discussion with Tom Horn about the topic of his book Xenogenesis and the transformation of mankind, or the desired transformation of mankind by some in this world, into something else, something beyond human. You can watch that now at our website, skywatchtv.com. It's also available at our official YouTube channel. And of course, if you have a Roku device, you can add the Skywatch TV Roku channel to your account and watch our programs and these daily news updates on demand anytime, day or night. Instructions on adding our Roku channel to your account are online at skywatchtv.com/Roku. The new edition of Skywatch Magazine is now out. It is free. It is an online electronic magazine. You can read it on your desktop, laptop, PC, or Mac, or on your mobile device. your smartphone or tablet. Articles this month from Tom Horn, Dr. Michael Lake, Josh Peck, Gans Shimura, and something new, the first installment of a supernatural thriller by Sharon K. Gilbert, my lovely and smarter better half. The novel is called Skinwalkers. It is a supernatural thriller from a Christian worldview, the first installment, part of this month's Skywatch magazine, online at skywatchtv.com. We appreciate your support. It makes it possible for us to continue this work and to upgrade our facilities. You might have noticed the set looks a little different today, and that is due to your generosity, which we truly appreciate. For your financial gift of $10 or more during the month of June, we'll send these books to you, the Disaster Survival Bible and Angels in the Fire, a miraculous account of rescue from a horrific traffic accident. Again, your gift of $10 or more gets you those books. We'll send those out to you at our expense. And again, we thank you for your support. We also appreciate your comments here. Send those to me via email anytime, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. We thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is Skywatch TV.